Hello, and welcome to part 38 of this mod making series for, in this case, locked loot containers. And yeah, for this particular series, it has been quite a while since I've uploaded anything about it. And as you can see here, the last one I uploaded was part 37, and that was on October 18th of 2022. So almost exactly 3 months from today, which is January 16th of 2023. Now, for a lot of that time, I haven't been, yeah, for a good portion of that time, I've been basically taking a break from working on the mod because I kind of felt like I burnt out a little bit on it. I think part of it was due to the actual making of the videos series sort of thing, and I was also uploading really all like once or twice every day of like a separate thing as well as this, and it was just becoming too difficult every day to get the motivation and stuff to do it, and it was just like, yeah, it just kind of burned me out. So yeah, I took a little break. But not that entire time I haven't been doing anything. I've actually been doing some work on it here and there fairly frequently since I'd say mostly probably around middle of December when I'm looking at this. As you can see, the 18th of October, that was that, and then one update I made, or one commit I made on GitHub was October 30th, and then after that was November 8th, then November 12th, and then December 23rd, December 29th, and then since that time, I've been making updates almost every day, or an update, a commit almost every day. Now, just because I do a commit doesn't necessarily mean that I did a lot on that day. It's just, that's kind of how, like, I save, I actually do control save while I'm actually working in Visual Studio, obviously, and stuff. But as sort of my little backup and way to track what I did on those days, I usually am like some people, their practice for commits is sometimes they'll make multiple commits in one day for every single little thing that they've done, sort of deal. Like, some people do that. Then there's other people that won't make a commit for weeks at a time, and then they'll just do one commit with a huge amount of stuff that was changed. In my case, I'm more of a, depending on how much I've worked on it, probably like once a day I'll do a commit if I've done any work on it. Even if it's a pretty insignificant amount of stuff, just because, I don't know, I like to keep track of that and kind of have it documented, like what I was doing on that day and stuff like that. But as you can see, I've been quietly in the background, um, been making progress, pretty, surprisingly steady, slow but steady progress on the mod since the time that I stopped making update videos for this series. And the only reason I decided to make this one is because, well, I figured eventually I was going to make an update for this eventually, this series. So I was like, I might as well do it now, and just because now otherwise I'll be even way farther behind in terms of updating the series, and then it'll just be more annoying to decide what things to talk about and stuff. So in this case, I'm basically just going to be doing some, probably, I mean, most of this series for most people is probably very boring. But in this case, it's probably going to be extra boring because I'm just going to be kind of skimming through and trying to explain and describe what changes I made on in these commits these past few months, whatever. That's like 2 months basically. And yeah, that's the best I'm gonna try and do. I'm probably not gonna go into super amount of detail. Not that I don't want to per se, but it can just be very challenging to go into complete granular detail on every little thing, especially when it's some stuff you haven't looked at for months and months months and months ago, since weeks and weeks ago. So it's like, I don't know exactly what I was thinking so many weeks ago and stuff like that when making this code or whatever. With that out of the way, and we'll just kind of start on that. So let's see. Here on October 3rd, on October 30th, did some attempts to make chess gen feel more varied. So basically, I was trying my very damn best to make the pseudo random number generation thing feel more random, even though that sounds silly, but because I was noticing patterns. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just very good at noticing patterns and other people aren't. But when I go into a dungeon and I see like, I don't know, out of like maybe 8 chests, three or four of them are mithril, and they all have the same locks or some shit like that. It's lock materials. To me, that's like a pattern, and I don't like that. So I tried to add in some weird shit. I really don't know at all if it helped. I really am not good with working and try and kind of like I sort of understand how seeds work to some extent. And even when I ask other people about it, they generally give me the kind of bullshit response of, "Oh, it's just random, bro. It's just anything is possible." And it's like, "Well, no. That's not how compute like, people that I would expect to know more about this kind of like computational shit, it's not necessarily just random, bro. Like there is patterns that can be seen, and what I'm asking is, is there any ways? And they could just say I don't know, but a lot of times they just say it's just random, bro. Which always kind of is annoying to hear that response. I've seen it so many times, and I think that just kind of shows that most people don't have any clue how random and pseudo random number generation works. Not saying I do, but I have more of an idea apparently because I realized that there is many flaws with pseudo-random number generation and stuff like this. That if you want it to not have those patterns, you have to have some kind of things put into place to try and prevent that, I guess. So that's what I tried to do. I don't really know at all if it helped. I feel like it might have helped a little bit. It was just kind of some random BS that I was like, just this one was just annoying to me because I was like, how the hell? And I don't think I helped it that much, but I tried at least. I'm not even gonna try to explain it because it was just like dumb. It was just dumb, dumb attempts on that part. But then I also added some other stuff that basically after I got done with that, and I was like, all right, that's good enough. Oh yeah, I don't know why I'm doing the face cam, but I figured I haven't shown my face in a while, so I said, what the hell? And it's nice in this smaller picture. It's nice in this smaller picture because it takes up a lot less file space for the video when it's when it's rendered smaller like this or whatever you in a lower resolution. Otherwise, when it's at the max resolution for my face cam or whatever, it it balloons up the file size immensely. It's ridiculous. But yeah. So I started working on the loot generation aspect, and I just added a bunch of stuff in there. What was it? I added in the thing that I was going to use for the actual, like, picking out of the hat, methods and stuff, the fill array with, and then the pick one of methods and stuff, helper methods. What was this loot generation? I think this was just basic stuff to get it started, I think. Yeah. Alright, so that was October 30th. And then on November 8th, like a week and a half later, I actually started working much more on the loot generation part. In this instance, it wasn't necessarily much coding, but it was me trying to break down all of the vanilla item groups that the items are categorized under and put them into new ones that would be more satisfactory to what I wanted to do with the loot. Even though it's not perfect, I think it's a little bit better than the just straight vanilla's item groups, such as breaking down many of the ingredient items especially and putting them into stuff like where they're kind of just in the vanilla item groups, they're kind of just like random. Like they have like creature ingredients 1, creature ingredients 2, creature ingredients 3, but they don't like there's one group that has like 4 items of like weird different values, and then another that has like 25 or some crap. Like it's just weird. So I decided I was like, okay, let's make ones of common creature parts, uncommon creature parts, rare creature parts. Did the same thing with the plants. I just broke down the plants that were generic plants that are in all of the plant groups, and then ones that are in the cold climate ones, and then ones that are in the warm climate ones like cactus and stuff like that. Religious stuff. Did I change though? Yeah, I think I changed. I think I took stuff out like the Holy Tome. Holy Tome, was that one, or is that what it's called? Or the Holy Dagger, like the Holy Tome and the Holy Water and stuff, and I put those instead as blessed items. Supplies, I have stuff like bandages and oil and parchment. I think I might have put that under it, even though it's not necessarily used for anything, but basically stuff that I have planned to use for things. Lights, tools, those are going to be like modded stuff. Jewelry, small weapons, medium weapons, large weapons that are based on their kind of general size, assumed size. Light armor, medium armor, heavy armor. That's mostly for modded stuff. Just all that kind of stuff. And I put it all into these different item groups with their own enum value. Well, not that they have the same vanilla enum values for the actual items, the vanilla items, but they just have these different in this LLC locked loot containers enums file script, whatever you want to call it. They have they're categorized under these new item groups basically, so I could use them for later. So that's what I did on November 8th, basically. And then November 12th, what did I do here? Yeah, I gave assigned actual numbers to the item group index, whatever the heck you want to call it. That didn't change much, but then I actually started like working on the kind of more tedious part of doing this item generation stuff, and that was figuring out how I was going to distribute the odds, like basically making loot tables sort of for the different dungeon types. Yeah, for the different dungeon types and stuff like that. And that's what I kind of just manually, kind of painstakingly did. I made a array, and then I populated that array with all of the values in this these new item groups that I have, which add up to 26. I think there's 20, since it's 0 to 25, so there's 26 of them. So this array has 26 values, and each one of them represents one of these item groups, basically. It's not the best way to kind of do this, but if you're kind of just doing it all at once, it's not too bad. It's definitely not great to go back on, and then you'll be like, oh, I have to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that equals clothing or weapons or whatever. Yeah, it's not great, but it's fairly compact, and it mostly works. I'm still not, like, I'm gonna talk more about the items, the loot generation. I'm still not that happy with it and stuff, but I'm more happy with it than when I was initially conceptualizing it, say in October, back in October, where I was like, oh man, how am I gonna do this crap? So yeah, it's not amazing, but I think it's serviceable for now, at least. And then jump almost, yeah, over a month later, for some reason, I didn't work on it at all, to December 23rd, where what did I do here? I think I did very little here. I just kind of got the water. I kind of warmed up the water a little bit after not doing it for a while, I guess. I added some values for how the chest materials would modify, what chest material what material that the chest is made of would modify the actual loot table percentage values. So more valuable materials or whatever, rarer materials like Daedric would increase the likelihood that stuff would generate and rare stuff would generate and stuff in that chest, whereas wooden chests, whatever, would have raised would modify it so it actually goes lower percentage wise. So if it was like in that dungeon type, if it was a 50% chance to generate a small weapon or something, then if it's wooden, it would say make it 30% or something like that. And if it was Daedric, then it would be making it 200% or something like that. So that kind of thing. And once again, these were mostly just values I just pulled out of my butt. And I was like, okay, that seems good. So whatever. And then on the December 29th, once again, not that much. I think I just decided on how I was going to be doing the actual, like, looping through these item groups for this array. And then determining what items and stuff like that. So I did that by making this while loop. And then doing a dice roll and then the item chance and just going through a method on that and such. Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to go into whole granular detail for everything here just because, frankly, it's just confusing and annoying sometimes to do that. And the next day, December 30th, I did more work on the loot generation here. I actually started adding the case switching that I was going to do. That was basically going to see what's the term? What iteration that the array has gone through in terms of how many numbers that the array has gone through. So if it looped like 20 times and it would say the index of that loop was 20 or whatever, I equals 20, and then it would go by that and say, okay, what was it's going to go determine that and then determine what item group to roll for to generate the item in. So in this case, it was like 0 drugs, create random drug, light armor for index 1, create light armor, and then medium armor, heavy armor, shield, small weapons, just goes down the list and everything. I don't even know if I was generating for all of them the actual item yet, or if I was just kind of making placing this stuff for it so I could do it later. But then on January 1st, Happy New Year. Once again, I did more of that, but I think I finished all of them or most of them. I think I finished most of them. Yeah, I finished most of them. But then on January 2nd, I think I finished the rest of them, which was like the ingredients and stuff, which for some of them it was pretty annoying because the way the item builder, I guess API, if you want to say that, for Daggerfall, creates an item, you kind of need to give it the item's index as well as the vanilla item group that it comes from. You can't give it the custom item group that I was giving it because then it wouldn't know what the hell I'm talking about. So I had to give it the vanilla item group. So for some of the ingredients, since they were all over the place, I had to actually just say screw it and just do some if else and if and then else if chains here for some of them. It was a pain in the ass, but at the time I was just like, yeah, that's just how I figured out I would figure it out for the time being. Not great, but it worked, I guess. Then on January 3rd, after I got that done, what did I do here? Oh, I think oh yeah, on January 3rd I actually did some testing finally. I hadn't done testing in a long time in the Unity editor, and I was, playing around with it and seeing, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool, this is working, it's doing its thing. And I fixed after that testing, I fixed some obvious bugs, such as I wasn't aware of this. I never even considered it. I was like, oh wait, one of the things was being the array, as I was multiplying it, every time it would loop through it again, it would be multiplied by that self, and then it would be like some chests would just be generated with like thousands of items, and I was like, why the hell is this happening? And then I realized that they're doing a little bit of debugging and stuff, whatever, like debugging stuff, just to see what was going on. I was like, oh, so if you make an array, or if you define an array somewhere, and it's in the same kind of script like I have it, where I have it a partial, it's like a partial script of the main one instead of like its own entire instance or script, whatever. Um, you should make uh instead of using that same array, you should make a clone of that array and then or basically make a separate reference or a separate variable for that array and then use and then make a clone of it. So then the old original array won't be affected, so it won't be like multiplying on itself as you go through it, but the cloned one will, and then it'll keep like resetting or being redefined every time. So that's how I fixed that, by doing basically like array.clone or whatever, which I wasn't aware of until then. So I was able to fix that, which is cool. Some other stuff that I did for debugging, I forget. Oh yeah, I made it so that male and female clothes would only generate for if you were the gender for that clothing type, because I was like, oh wait, so even though I like when both of the clothes types can generate, just because it makes more sense when you think about it, like why would everything in the world suddenly change to only being male clothes just because you're a male, or the opposite, female clothes? Even though it makes sense because that's how the clothes are for the character's body, and it doesn't like have like weird clipping issues and stuff the way that they have it. But I just did that because I was like, all right, it's generating too many items, it's annoying, just do it. Then on January 4th, I started working on the miscellaneous, well, kind of miscellaneous items, like the ones that aren't normally generated from, like, in Daggerfall Unity's case, a lot of these items that are on this miscellaneous list that I have here, they are not generated through stuff like the other items are. They're almost generated on their own kind of loot table, sort of like they're generated separately, um, in their own like classes and stuff like that. Like for potions and maps and potion recipes and paintings and soul gems and magic items, they all have their own kind of method that they're done like in a different way. So I was like, you know what, I might as well make a different array just for these, and that's what I did. So I did basically the exact same thing I did before with the other item groups, except in this case, I just had them mean different stuff for this new one, misc group odds. So it meant stuff like how much, like the percentage chance that gold itself would generate, the percentage chance that a letter of credit would generate, the gold G minimum and G maximum. So how much, if gold did generate, what the minimum value would be and what the maximum value would be for it, what the rolled min and max value would be, and same thing with letters of credit, LOC min and LOC max. And then for potions, the percentage chance that a random potion would generate, percentage chance that a map would be generated or created, percentage chance potion recipe would be created, percentage chance paintings, then soul gems, magic items, and then max condition and min condition. Basically, I wanted to modify the condition values of certain item types, like weapons and armor and jewelry. What else? I think almost anything that generally has some effect from having its condition changed. Um, or at the very least, like with some mods, like roleplay realism items, uh, it modifies the value of the item being sold based on the current condition that it has, basically. So I wanted that to simulate, like, an item that's sitting in like a crypt, and a chest of a crypt or something is probably not being maintained or whatever, shit like that kind of deal. So that was the maximum condition percentage and minimum condition percentage that would be modified later on when that item of those types are generated. Yeah, and I did that painstakingly once again. This one was a pain of just going through all the dungeon types and just manually filling these values in and stuff. Zero. Oh, wait. Oh, wait, no. I was gonna say zero. Yeah, I think I did in the end. Yeah, 3 days later, I decided to finally finish doing those. Oh, yeah, I think this was modifying those values then, just like I did the other ones. And then this was actually like me, yeah, writing a lot of the code for the actual generation of those misc items and stuff. But yeah, I got a lot of work done in those few days, apparently. What was this? This, on that day, I barely did anything, or I think I just fixed something. Yeah, I did 2 commits in one day, I think. No. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I didn't do that. That was just a day I didn't do much. Now we're getting close to today, closer to today on January 10th. I changed the. Oh, yeah, on January 10th, I basically added in the other factors, at least as placeholder for the time being, for how the chest material, the lock material, and the lock complexity would modify the loot generation percentages and stuff. Like I said, placeholder, but good enough for the time being. Um, and then 5 days ago, on the 11th of January, I started working on the. I basically said, okay, for now, for the loot, I'm good. I'm good with the loot stuff. So I started working on the other stuff, such as the actual formula and odds of lockpicking chest and stuff like that. And I think, yeah, I got this formula, but I wasn't very happy with it. So the next day, I reworked it and made it so. Yeah, I don't even really want to bother explaining exactly what I did here, but I basically made it so. I tried to make it so simpler locks with a lower complexity, would be easier to open on average. But then the more complex the locks would get, the more difficult they would become to unlock, such as increasing the maximum percentage chance of opening them, like clamping it or whatever, making it so there's a maximum, as well as reducing the minimum chance for opening it each time. So, like in this case, the lowest complexity would be a minimum of 15% chance of opening each time you tried, a maximum of 100% chance, so a guaranteed maximum chance. But then for the most complex of 100, or what was it, 80 or more complexity, it would be a minimum chance of success of 1%, so only 1% chance minimum, and a maximum of 80%. So there's a 20% chance of failure no matter how good your skills are. In this case, at least. I don't know. I'll most likely change these things and stuff like that, but I was like, okay, I'm happy enough with this. And then on the day after that, I started working on some of the other formulas. I think on this case, actually, I started working on the logic. I didn't actually do too much, but I did the success and failure logic of what happens when you actually try to unlock a chest. And yeah, what was that? 3 days ago? Wow. Damn, I didn't think that was 3 days ago. But then I guess about one day ago, I did more of that. I think I finished up a lot of that actually. I got a lot done yesterday. And I did the stuff with the lock jamming and the lock picking odds and stuff like that. Cleaned up a little bit of stuff here and there. Did more of the logic for the locking and unlocking stuff or whatever. The lock picking stuff, the jamming stuff, the text that would show, mostly placeholder text, the sounds that would play, once again, placeholder sounds. I plan on using custom sounds in the end. to differentiate between these different actions and results and stuff, outcomes, to give better feedback and all that kind of thing. And then I started working on some of the basic stuff involving bashing, and that's where I ended since the last time I actually did much coding. I'm probably not going to do any. I probably won't do any coding today because I don't really feel like it, but I wanted to get this video out. Um, but yeah, that was a kind of quick and dirty rundown summary of what I've been doing the past few months in terms of the mod's progress itself. Um, and so far, I'm pretty happy with the slow but steady progress, and I think I'm getting closer and closer to actually um, releasing the mod to the public, because like I'm seeing the horizon where it's like, okay, I think I'm happy enough for now to release this in a at least a 1.0 state or whatever. I'm probably gonna. I'm thinking I'm probably going to not do traps yet for the initial public release or whatever for 1.0, and as well as some other features because I just know that if I get into that, it's gonna take way longer and it's gonna be annoying, to some extent, and it's just gonna be like feature creep. So I'm like, you know what? It's better if I release it in a very not very basic, but a somewhat more basic state that I want, and then just fix it later on. So at least it's out there, and people can give me feedback and stuff like that, as well as people can use it for its fairly basic function of having a somewhat detailed chest uh chest mod or whatever. And then later on in a later update, I will add, maybe even just almost like immediately after releasing it, I'll try to add stuff like the traps and other mechanics and stuff like that, but I'll see. I'm not sure when I'll make another video update like this for the mod, um or anything like that, but I just wanted to make this one. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time, and hope you enjoyed, and take care.